Hey everybody, welcome to the Tuesday show here on Ultra Chen TV. I'm James Chen.
Hey, and I'm Ultra David.
How's everybody going?
Oh.
Fair enough.
All right.
Fair enough. All right.
So, I couldn't be there this time. I had a really rough last couple of days. My little kitty Ajax had a life scare. He had a urethral blockage.
Ugh.
When they tried to release that, they accidentally nicked a blood vessel in his abdomen, causing him to bleed into his belly. And for a while, we thought that he might not make it, but he ended up being okay. So we just got him back, and that's why I didn't want to leave.
Holy shit! I didn't know it was like that. Jesus Christ!
It's like that.
Holy crap! Is he okay now?
He is. He'll be okay. Yeah. Okay. I mean, he still has a couple bandages. His whole belly and nether regions are shaved, and he's a little skittish, but he'll be fine. Yeah.
Oh my God! Oh, sorry to hear that. I'm glad he's doing okay.
Yeah, it was rough.
Oh,
but
okay.
Anyway.
Okay. Well, almost kind of good that you didn't go to NCR then.
Oh, dude, if I had been to NCR, I would have had to take the first flight home for sure. But even still, who knows when I would have gotten back. So,
right,
yeah,
exactly. So
definitely.
Oh, man.
Yikes.
Okay.
Yikes.
Well,
okay. All right. Well, I just want to let everybody know why I am not with James. I'm streaming from home because I'd rather just be home.
It doesn't matter. Everyone thinks that so you need someone with a fake hand back there to extend into your screen to make it look like I'm patting you on the back over there.
Oh, okay.
But no, and so that's kind of the reason why, also for the late start and everything. But there's actually a lot of stuff to talk about, because there was actually kind of a lot of weird drama stuff that's been going on of late. And let everybody know at home how the audio is, if everybody's audio is fine, if David's level is good, if my level's good, etc. and stuff. So, but yeah, I mean, obviously NCR happened this weekend. It was a premiere event, and there was a lot of cool things that happened there. But let's talk about some of the drama.
Okay.
Involving that.
That's where your head's at. All right.
Yeah. Before we get to any of the results or anything, I just kind of want to talk about a lot of the things that you can see up here on the chat over here. And man, we're all choppy everywhere. Even I'm choppy for some reason.
Definitely.
But obviously, one of the main things that happened was, look, we know that the DR guys get very loud for each other. And it's been known that Caba likes to cheer very, very loudly for his teammates.
Yes.
Well, at NCR, this actually kind of became an issue. People started talking about it because in two particular matches, one against CJ Truth and another against GO1, I guess it wasn't like he was in the audience cheering on the stage. He was literally standing, a few feet back, but he was definitely very loud and yelling a lot. And CJ Truth and GO1, both of them not particularly happy about it. So, did you see the video?
I did see the video, for both of them. GO1 tweeted about it, saying he wasn't very happy. It was, at least on my feed, kind of mistranslated, apparently. At the start, saying that GO1 wanted him banned, when in fact all that it was that GO1 wanted him to, stay away.
Right,
It was very translation, obviously, but that's how I first saw it. And also when it was so it was Min-RD versus CJ Truth, and Caba was cheering. Afterward, CJ's mom went over and talked with Caba and basically asked him not to do that anymore. In not in so many words, but effectively that was what she wanted. They know each other, I mean, they've she's come to a ton of different tournaments, and he's been traveling a lot lately. And I saw them hanging out, the family hanging out with the DR guys. A couple of times in the past. So, I mean, it's not like this. I just want to put that in context, that it's not as if she is meeting him for the first time and going up to a complete stranger and asking for something that she didn't like, or telling him that she didn't like it. It's more like they have a relationship, or they know each other, so they can talk to each other. So I just wanted to put that in context. But definitely he was loud. I mean, we've known Caba ever since he's been traveling to be super loud, and like we've talked about it on streams during commentary sometimes, because he's just super loud. You can hear, like, we can hear him even though we have these big headsets on and we're talking to each other in like our ears, and we can't really hear that much. We can definitely still hear Caba.
Dude, sometimes in the setup, we're behind the screen, when the station is actually behind the curtain and everything, and we can still hear him in the audience.
That's true. That is true. So he's definitely loud. I don't want to downplay that at all, for sure. Mm-hmm. But well, okay, that's what happened. What do you think about it?
Look, I feel like it's one of those things that it's part of the fighting game culture, right? I mean, like, people yell, people go crazy, people go nuts, and we've kind of laughed about it before. We've talked about it. There's always a storyline that we've talked about Caba and the DR guys cheering for each other. DRA does the same thing whenever the DR guys are playing. And so, for me, and like in other cases, right, someone actually put up a really interesting tweet that, when Wolfcrone was complaining about the Wolfcrone K-Brad match, he was like, I had 20 people yelling at me and everyone was like, haha, if you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen, kind of stuff. Right. And then all of a sudden this happens to Goichi. Goichi has a tweet, it's kind of badly translated, and now everyone is out for Caba and Mena RD's head. And honestly, some of the responses to Caba and Mena RD were way over the top, and I feel like they did not deserve some of the vitriol that they actually got, right? Oh,
for sure. No, there was definitely a bunch of people overreacting. I mean, I think in part it was because Goichi's tweet was at first maybe it made out to seem a little bit more severe than he had actually intended.
Right.
I definitely think people blew it out of proportion. I even saw people thinking that when in the video with Goichi and Caba and Mena, that there's a hand that kind of does this, and some people thought that was Caba actually touching Goichi.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
But in fact, it was just Goichi trying to like wave Caba away.
Oh, okay.
Right. So it wasn't to the level of Caba touching Goichi or anything like that. As you said, he was a few feet away. You could sort of hear him in the video. Mm-hmm. He's behind the camera, and at the end of the video, the camera zooms out, and he's like still not in the picture. He's like definitely behind whoever it was. Again, though, he's loud. I mean, I don't want to say he's not loud, but it's not like he was right behind them. Right. He was at the same sort of distance that everybody in FGC has kind of learned that, like, you stand a couple feet away. You're not like right next to the person. So they were giving him that room. It's something that has been around forever, for sure. Mm-hmm. I kind of have, I understand. I think a little bit of both sides. I certainly was around forever when people were loud and like intentionally jerky. I also want to point out that I don't think that he was like intentionally being a jerk about it. He just is a very excitable guy, and he's really loud. Yeah. And that's what comes out. But he's not. I feel like he's not intentionally trying to cause problems. Right. He's just loud and closer than somebody might want. But I've seen people be jerks and closer than it looked like he was. So I've seen that a lot, and it is something that has been around forever. I never loved that. I mean, it's happened to me. I've been in situations where I'm in a tournament and I get heckled. Mm-hmm. It definitely has happened in the past. I don't love it, to be frank. But so I've been there. I've seen it. It's happened to me. At the same time, I'm super hesitant to try to stamp that stuff out, because I really like cheering and being loud myself. Mm-hmm. It's something that I really enjoy. I like that fighting games let you do that. Even if it's not fighting games. I mean, when I back in a previous life paid attention to sports, I would always be super, super loud at hockey games, at college football games. That's just something that I really enjoy, and I'd really be hesitant to give it up.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Did you have anything else that you want to?
Yeah. So, but at the same time, I do understand that today is not what things were yesterday. Mm-hmm. Goichi and same with CJ fly thousands of miles to compete with an eye to winning tens of thousands of dollars. So there certainly is more riding on it than when I was in a tournament getting yelled at
right
8 or 9 years ago. It's a definitely different landscape. So I get that. I also thought that somebody pointed out that somebody replied to a tweet chain that I saw saying that they are on the autistic spectrum and that it's like particularly difficult for them to deal with. And I guess that I'm definitely more open to changing my opinion after having read that. If somebody just like kind of can't deal with noise, sort of for regular reasons, then I'm like a little bit understanding, but like not super much. But if somebody has a real issue, then I'd certainly get it more. Certainly get that more.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't know if that was true or if that was just somebody saying it, but I can imagine, even if it wasn't true in that instance, I can imagine that happening to somebody.
Right.
So,
I mean,
anyway,
for me, I just feel like we're probably at a point. I mean, look, the one thing that I'm going to say about, and this kind of bleeds into arcade culture and all this other stuff too as well. But, one of the things that fighting game players are proficient at, and one of the things that makes us who we are, is that we're able to adapt, right? And, people who want to keep doing the same thing are going to lose in fighting games. Like, the whole point is that you're supposed to adapt. Okay. So I don't want to lose that kind of screaming culture or cheering kind of culture like that. I think it's fine. But I think we're probably at a point now where if somebody says, can you please stop? Like, just go ahead and stop, at that point in time. If someone kind of requests it, then maybe, we can do that. Because, I mean, there's some people who can take it. Some people might even like it. Some people might even get powered by it, Yeah,
that does happen.
There's some people who can get powered by hecklers, like a Filipino champ. There are even people like me who I play bad even when people are heckling on my side.
That's true, yeah.
I'm actually terrible at that. And so, if it gets to the point where people are just like, you know what, let's not, like, can you please just be quiet? I think it's okay just to go ahead and, abide by that. And if no one says anything, then that's your fault if you don't say anything, or you just don't care. And that way we can keep that. If someone is in the audience, I think that's fine. Because, I mean...
Oh, yeah.
We've obviously celebrated Joy, right? Cool Kid's wife.
Exactly.
For a lot of the things that she did, because it's cool. It's fun to see someone support him like that. And we've definitely on commentary talked about Caba and DRA yelling as a positive thing, many, many times. So
well, I think it's intended to be positive. I don't think that it's intended to be negative. So I guess it makes sense to me that you think that people should, if they're concerned about it, just ask that it stop.
Right.
Because if at that point it doesn't stop, then there's probably some jerkery involved. Like then there is people, it kind of is negative at that point. But if you're just like having fun and being loud, even as loud as Caba gets, I mean, he definitely, people are calling it screeching. I don't think that's inaccurate. He basically screeches. If you're just doing that and you're having a good time, and then somebody asks you to stop, then it's not that hard to stop.
Right, right.
I say, as somebody who was kicked out of League of Legends event for being too loud, and then when asked to be quiet, not being quiet.
Right.
So,
hey, look, I get it. From a previous NCR, I was part of a crowd that literally changed the outcome of grand finals in a Soul Calibur tournament. And it was not for any particular reason. The two players playing in grand finals, one was really quiet and obviously just like really kind of like seemed very calm and gentle or whatever. The other guy was like a jerk. Like every time he won a game, he would start walking and parading around the stage and just like, he was very demonstrative and, led by, guess who? Sanchez.
Right. Yeah. I mean, many of my friends in the FGC are people who have been loud in the past. I feel like that's, like I wasn't asked to start commentating for no reason. I like to be loud. Same with Yipes. Exactly the same thing.
Yeah, but all of us just started yelling at that player, and we got to him. You could definitely tell that it changed because we were talking the whole entire time. So it was like back when it was at UCI, I believe it was, And yeah,
I think I remember this. Yeah.
We literally changed the results by yelling at him. So I was even a part of this before, with the intent to mess somebody up. And that is the history. That is where we came from. But, again, as times are changing, there's this, this kind of goes back to the arcade culture topic that we might want to, talk about, that we're going to talk about a little later on. There's this weird thing in the FGC now where we're all so stubbornly steadfast about trying to hang on to something that, even back then wasn't great, or even back then wasn't as crazy as people think it was now, So, at this point in time, I think if someone says, please, can you stop yelling? I think it's okay to respect them. And if they don't, because Goichi did ask Caba to stop and Caba did not. And that was kind of frustrating to Goichi.
For
but,
sure.
In the future, hopefully you get the pool judge, and be like, hey, look, and maybe rules come into play or something like that. But I don't want to ban it. I don't want to take it away.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I want to make it so it's something that a player requests specifically.
Yeah.
So.
People are saying that we're not accurately describing what Caba did. I feel like I accurately described it at the start of this conversation. Mm-hmm. Did I not? For people who were here, think that I mischaracterized it. He was very loud. Like I said, I think screeching is pretty accurate. He was a few feet away. Mm-hmm. He didn't touch Goichi. That's not accurate. That didn't happen. And he was asked to stop, and like you said, he didn't do it.
Right.
And then after CJ and Mena played, CJ's mom went up to Caba and a little bit more colorfully, but asked that he stop doing it. And later on Twitter, Caba apologized.
Right.
So I feel like it's not that big of a deal. Especially because he did apologize later.
Right.
I think that it was definitely blown out of proportion. Again, I know it's happened to me. I've been in situations where I've been in like foreign arcades, not literally foreign, but not my home arcade.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And been yelled at, and I get that. There was even one time when I played Brawl in tournaments briefly, and this crowd of probably like 5 or 6 kids, like literally like 12, were like right behind me, like screaming for their friend. I've been there,
That's what you get for bowling them in hockey, right?
That's right. Yeah. I'm, and when it happened, like I said, I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I didn't ask them to stop. It's not like it got to me that badly, but I can see why it does get to people. I get it. As I said before, I think that we do have to recognize that it's in a different situation now, where certainly the stakes are much higher. When I was playing before, there were not thousands of dollars on the line, as I said. So I get why there may be a different standard. But I think the one that you offer is good. That if somebody's being loud and they're not doing it to be a jerk, but are asked to be quiet, then they should be quiet, or at least not be quiet as loud or whatever.
Right. And
don't be screeching anymore.
Right. Another thing.
But I don't want to just come out and say ban that stuff.
Right. Exactly.
It's way too fun, and I don't want to give it up.
And at this point in time, Caba, DRA. If you're playing Mena, just tell them ahead of time. You don't have to wait till it starts, right? You'll know ahead of time. But again, I
do. I'll be honest. I do think that a big part of it is that it happened to Goichi.
Yes.
I do also think that at least some of it, although maybe not a lot, but at least some of it is that they're the Dominican players. And I feel like there's definitely a reputation that is on the less charitable side, that they're loud. Obviously they are loud, but there's also like this extra social contingent of expecting them to be loud. So like I said, I don't want to put like a lot of stock into that, but I do think there's some. And so I'm like a little bit hesitant to see it as such a big deal, because I think that if these circumstances were different, that it wouldn't have been blown up as much as it was.
Yeah.
After all, it's been happening for a long, long time, and there have very rarely been big blow-ups like this.
Yeah, and I definitely know that there were some people who were really upset with, like, for example, what Joy was doing, right? So I know, like, people who were, she was yelling at Punk one time during the Red Bull Battlegrounds last year, and I know people who were cheering for Punk were really frustrated by that, but, in a different circumstance, everyone's like, oh, that's really cool and it's really funny, kind of thing.
Right,
or
exactly.
when it's Wolfcrone and he's the heel, right? When it's not Goichi, when it's Wolfcrone, then it's like, yeah, yell at him and make him nervous kind of thing. So there's kind of a little bit of a weird double standard in that way. And I do feel like that, again, you can be upset at Caba and Mena and the DR guys kind of the way, that's not what you should do. But like, if you go like the extra mile and you start slandering their ethnicity or slandering, the entire group, like that's uncalled for at that point. So
yeah. And I also think that I don't know how many of the people who were complaining so vociferously have been in that situation before. I mean, I have, so have you. So I mean, again, not with as much on the line, obviously, but I've sort of been in that similar situation, and I've seen it 1,000 times. I don't know. So I guess I'm inclined to think that it's not as big of a deal, but it's not nothing, and we should be willing to change a little bit, and that's totally fine. And I think that if somebody asks the other person to quiet down, then they should. Yeah. I'm totally with you on that. Okay. So anyway.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Yeah, I think the two of us are kind of in the same agreement here. At this point, it's like, let's not ban it outright, but let's just, like I said, let's adapt. Let's adapt to the new changing times. That if someone says, please stop, that you just stop. Because like you said, at that point, if you keep going, then that means you're being kind of, you have, intent to distract kind of thing. So
yeah. I mean, I do think some of what I saw was a little racist. Do you think that happened? So that's something that we gotta keep an eye out for.
Yeah,
of course,
pretty much. So, do you want to just move on to the next topic then?
So when I was kicked out of the League of Legends thing, look, it wasn't like I was yelling as loud as possible to be a dick. That wasn't why. It was because my friends and I were just sort of cheering in the same way that we do at fighting game tournaments. Not even the Caba style screeching, just cheering before something big happened. If there looked like there was going to be a yank or whatever, we would cheer loudly. We cheered at random times. They said that we weren't cheering at the right times, in part because we bet on like who would get the first kill or whatever and what time it would happen, odds or evens, things like that. So it sounded to other people maybe like we were just cheering randomly, when in fact we were, there were reasons for it. And so we were asked to pipe down. We thought we did. We weren't silent for sure, but we thought we had tamped it down a bit, and they disagreed. And it turned out that we were like next to a microphone or something that the stream could hear really well. We had no idea, obviously, about that stuff.
Yeah, the best part.
I haven't been to a league event since then, but they're like in stadiums now, so I'm sure you can just be as loud as you want to at this point.
I mean, the best part of that story too is that one of your friends that was there. I was not there, but at ETR, when he was being escorted out of the stadium, he was like, they're throwing me out for cheering for a video game, ladies and gentlemen. Like, he said that to the audience, and the audience all cheered for him. So. Yeah,
dude, the audience that was there thought it was funny, and we actually got people to start betting on like odds and evens and stuff. They actually had a really good time. I think another thing that contributed to us getting kicked out is that Henry had a "Where's Team Marn" sign. Marn had a league team for a very period of time, and at this point they were already done. And there was like there was a fiasco about him not playing players or something.
Okay.
So he went up to right behind the commentators, and he had a big like "Where's Team MRN" sign. And I'm pretty sure they didn't like that either. So it may have been multiple things.
That's awesome.
Anyway, is it archived? I have no idea.
That's a good question. That'd be awesome if it was available somewhere. So.
Well, yeah, it's just like me cheering at Capcom Cup and not realizing that I was right next to a mic and everybody hearing me yell for Ricky.
Right.
It's the same exact phenomenon. And I don't want to give any of that stuff up. But again, if you're not in the crowd, if you're sort of a few feet behind a player and you're being too loud and you're asked to be quiet and you don't pipe down a bit, then that's a problem. Okay.
But I mean, this kind of lends itself to the next topic here,